Good morning. This is the Musicianship Summer Group of 2018. I'm your host, Reginald Derricote, and today we are joined with the wonderful Marcus Johnson.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Glad to be here.
Okay, well, let's start this interview off with like the basics. What was your first like musical memory that you had?
Wow, my first musical memory, probably of my mom playing piano because she played classical music, and she would, after a hard day, come in on the piano, pull up some sheet music, and start playing. My first real musical, like concert experience was when my father took me to see Earth, Wind, and Fire. And that was to give my age away. That was the late '70s, and that started my music, interest in music and what I can do. And my father always told me, son, if you do music, you want to make sure that you're the keyboard player. That's like the band director, blah 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 blah. So Larry Dunn was a keyboard player at the time for Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I studied their stuff, and it took me a little while. I was about six then. I didn't get into music until I was 14, really playing. Growing up in DC and wanting to be in a go-go band really is how I started learning how to play music. But yeah, man, it was Earth, Wind, and Fire.
So would you say that your parents had like an influence on you when it came to like your instrument choice?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. With having a piano in the house, it was a foregone conclusion that I would do something with the piano. I mean, that was a no-brainer. And then, really wanting to be in a band and let's say knowing that the fun stuff was in the keyboard to me and creating sounds and all that kind of stuff. Then I actually learned about jazz and found my voice, there. But yeah, I knew piano early on.
Uh, what age or like what year did you decide to actually like full on commit to music as a career?
I was wow. As a career, I was older. I was actually in law school. I went to undergrad and graduated from Howard in music with a music degree, and then went to Georgetown for a law degree and a master's in business. And my first summer, I clerked at a record company with the general counsel, the head lawyer at Universal Music in Los Angeles. And the second summer, after talking to my dad, I decided to put out my first CD and talk to friends and family and raise some money to put together a small project. And I turned it into my first CD, Lessons in Love, which, made it, sold tens of thousands of copies out of my mom's basement. And not only that, but, made it onto the Billboard charts again out of my mom's basement. And I knew then that that's what I was going to do.
So your parents was like very supportive of you taking music as like a career path.
Very not so. They actually
Oh.
weren't. Uh, my mom definitely had issues because, when you go to a school like a Georgetown, basically top 10 law school in the country, top business school in the country, you're teaching, doing that stuff at the same time. They're like, you're a Georgetown lawyer. You should go into law. And one of the things that I've done my entire life is to just make sure that I followed my own kind of footsteps. I mean, Thoreau talks about that, marching to your own beat, or to your own drum, actually, is what Thoreau says. But it's just a matter of, I tell people all the time to make sure your dream is yours, because this is your life. At some point, I was talking to one of the other classes, at some point, your parents transition. You're here by yourself. And you want to make sure that you don't wake up at the age of 50, 60, 70 saying, my life is gone. I wasted it doing something that somebody who's not even here anymore wanted me to do, not what I wanted to do. So I had some very hearty arguments with my father. About what I was doing. I had my mom actually started my career by telling me if I did music and business at the same time and law, that she could not support me, but if I just did law, that she would support me. And that was the day I went out and got my own apartment. And at the time I was 20, 21, I had just graduated. I was in law school, and I was like, I'm going to do my thing. Mom, I'm moving out in 2 weeks. And that forced me to get my own band, put the Marcus Johnson name behind it. And, 18, 19 CDs later, a bunch of different projects later, it's what I've been doing for the last, 20, 23 years.
That's wonderful. Speaking of business, I saw online that when I did a little bit of research, that you actually have your own business that you founded.
Yes, I have a wine business along with the music business, and I speak as well. The name of the company is Flow, and it is an acronym that is FLO, and it means for the love of. So under that, we have Catch the Flow Radio, which is a radio station, a radio show actually on radio through NPR. We have the Flow Wine brand, which is around the country right now in about 10 states, out of Sonoma, California. We have the Marcus Johnson and Flow Music components of things where we're producing people as well, and really focusing on myself. Being a manager is hard unless you have an artist that you really believe in, and an artist that believes in themselves. And so we're continuing to expand that business.
So from what I see, life has been doing very well for you. Like music, having your own business, law, all this.
So it's a double-edged sword, right? So on the one hand, I'm doing a lot of what I want to do, and I've asked of life things. And what's really interesting, and for somebody your age and the people in musicianship, is to understand that what you ask of life, it'll give you. Be careful of what you ask of life, right? Because if you get it, then you have to manage it. You're responsible for it. You're accountable for it. And people are like, well, why are people, so lazy nowadays? Why do they have such a lackadaisical attitude about things? It's because they don't want the accountability. A lot of people don't want the accountability of, I tried something I love to do and I failed at it. Well, as I was talking to one of the other classes, failure is a part of the growing process. So, when you have all these things, you have to manage them. So, we're looking at the wine business right now and saying, I need a partner because it's growing past the place of where I want to be. Therefore, I may get to a point very soon where I don't want to do the wine anymore, and I want to focus more on the music and getting more in the environments like this. You have to make these conscious decisions and be present in your life. So life has given a lot. I have been very blessed. I have challenged life. Life has challenged me, and it continues to do so. The key is to enjoy the process. And the whole idea, this is my acronym, is called DEPEL, DEPELL, Dream, Environment, Plan, Execute, Listen, Learn. Have a dream, plan it in a fertile environment with good people, places, and things, healthy people, places, and things. Put it in a written plan, go execute it, then listen and learn and reflect upon it.
So basically, do you agree with it's okay for us as humans to make mistakes? We learn from our mistakes as we go.
It's inevitable. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you're gonna make a mistake. I'm gonna make a mistake right now, and today, somewhere along the way, we're humans. We're not perfections, right? And there's a wisdom even in our preamble of our Constitution that says to make a more perfect union, meaning we always have to continue to grow. So in our lives, we have to figure out ways of doing that, as well. We're going to make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect. The key is to discipline yourself to get through that. The key is if you fall down, as they say in The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho says in the book The Alchemist, if you fall down 7 times, get up 8. And I often joke at my concerts, well, I've fallen 9,999 times, and I'm looking forward to getting up the 10,000th time, and I will continue to fall. But if you're pushing the envelope, you're gonna fail. You don't know, what's beyond that, but that's how you grow.
Never know the outcome.
That's it, man. Definitely.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your latest album, Who's With Me, and what was the inspiration behind it?
Well, actually, my latest album is live and direct, so it's okay. No problem. No problem with that. No. And actually, I'm working on some new stuff right now, and just left Memphis working with my niece, who I am super excited about. Like literally putting some of my stuff on hold. Her name is Julia, and Julia Pratt. So be on the lookout for that. Her stuff is absolutely amazing. So I'm doing that. The inspiration behind live and direct was we have a lot of music that we play, and the Urban Jam Band is what we do. And I'm seeing groups like Lettuce. I'm seeing groups like Soul Live, and I was like, this is what we do as well. So I brought my horn section together, my main band, my percussionist, and we put together some music, kind of loungy, but at the same time really funky, and decided to do a mixture of live, which is the live part of it, and direct, which is the stuff that we did in the studio.
Okay. How do you feel your music affects people? Like, do you feel like it catches them emotionally, more so of a mental state?
I often say that as a musician and as an entertainer, we are uniquely psychologists, really. I mean, we're in the therapy business. We're not really in the music industry. And people are like, well, what do you mean? Well, how do people use music? They use music to feel better. You know, Chase uses music on her way home. She better stop before she gets in trouble and gets in timeout while daddy's on the interview. Correct? Go sit over there. Sit down. Um, but, you know, got to do what we got to do. But we're therapists. People use our music to feel better. Chase likes to listen to music on the way home. Daddy, can I listen to Bruno Mars? Daddy, can I listen to Demi Lovato? Daddy, can I listen to this? Some of which I have to say no to, and some of which we listen to and we blast on the way home. Other people use music to make the day better, to get through commutes and things like that. So. And then the other thing about our music is that it's cathartic to us. It's something that helps us feel better from a psychological perspective. So absolutely, as we're putting words together, I'm listening to, again, I reference my niece, and I think about the songs that I've written that have words to them. They're all about experiences that we've gone through. And the thing that really makes a lot of songs stick is that you understand what that person is going through, and thus you feel that that person understands you. And the most successful musicians out there not only have great music and a great vibe, they connect.
Now, let's talk about the musicianship and your position in it in the whole Diana recital.
Hmm.
Uh, Music makes the world go round. How do you feel about the theme of this year's recital?
I love it. I mean, DC is DC, and everything in my music, go-go touches every piece of my music. One of my most popular songs around the world is a tune called Maxin', and it definitely has the go-go beat to it, kind of feel. And if you listen to the melody, it's the actual cowbell kind of rhythm. It's more rhythmic than it is melodic, and it's the cowbell rhythm in like a go-go pocket. So it's absolutely amazing to spend time here today and to see the students working through this and to see the instructors doing their thing as well. Absolutely an amazing program, and then to be able to come together and pull the go-go theme as well as just a DC vibe thing together is very exciting to me.
I understand you was born in Columbus, Ohio, correct?
Hmm.
And you moved to DC when you was 12.
The two, actually.
Two.
Yeah. It's all good.
Way off. Do you think moving to DC had like an influence on your music with like being around go-go music and stuff?
Absolutely. Like I said, go-go has touched every piece of my life. So when you put that together, it is, the first band I wanted to be in was a go-go band. I played with a Maryland band called Air Raid. I played with Chuck Brown, people like that. And, as contemporaries, I mean, Chuck and I used to talk about a bunch of different things. And he's like, man, you in that business, you keep going with it. I'm so proud of you. And to have someone like that give you those accolades, to me was absolutely amazing. More so than the critical acclaim that you could get. Somebody that's in it, that's seen it, that was in it for 40 years. That was great. But go-go I still listen to go-go music, you know what I mean, wherever I can.
Everybody loves go-go.
Hey, no doubt.
Growing up, who was like the most influential like artist or band that like push you towards jazz?
My band director at Blair High School was the number one person that pushed me towards jazz. My sister had an influence on me because she knew I liked jazz and got me some Quincy Jones records. They were big band before he did more of the contemporary stuff. But then actually, just seeing that a lot of the top producers that are doing urban music are jazz players as well. They just know how to, translate the jazz into rhythms and things like that. A lot of these guys doing trap music, are jazz producers, jazz piano players that have transcended and decided to go into, making some just dope beats, which is really what trap is. I don't necessarily listen to all the words. I just like,
the tempo.
man, no, but it's the way that the bass hits you, right? And then it's slow and it allows you just to kind of get it. It's almost mesmerizing, right? That gets you in a groove that you can just sit back, lean back, put your seat back, window back, sunroof back, and just be like, yeah, I'm kind of cool right
This
now.
is a good vibe.
That's it. Life is good.
Life is very good. I lost where I was at. How do you? What is there things you would change about the musicianship? Like how it's run? Would you add things? Would you take things out?
I would video document everything that goes on every day, because what I just saw downstairs was amazing. And the rationale behind it, maybe videoing where we're going today and what happened at the end of the day would be awesome, or picking a class to do that in, and then highlighting that throughout, at the end, because what the rationale for the band director using a George Benson song as the warm-up was some of the most thoughtful analysis that I've seen or heard from a band director, talking about, I want them to understand that they're still playing music. It's not just blowing a trumpet, blowing a tuba, blowing, into a saxophone. It is, you're still playing music. And then hearing the drum line say, the things about how they have to work hard, and there's a physical component to this and the mental component that work together to be able to pick this drum up and be able to have rhythm. I would document everything that's going on here because it's that special.
All learning moments and like teaching moments.
And teaching moments, learning moments, but documentation moments. We used to do a good job in the community, man, of documenting, where we were in the stories. Again, remember, dream, environment, plan, execute, listen, learn. The only way to listen and learn is to see where you wanted to go, and then to say where you went, and then to look at the difference. And you have to do that
as you go.
Yes, that's it. That's life. But it's going on here. And I think that it should just be said.
Well, finally, what advice would you give upcoming artists, upcoming business workers, law informants?
Have a life model. Have a goal that's yours, uniquely yours. And I know I sound redundant in saying this. Make sure that your dream is yours, because you live with it every day. You wake up with it every day. You live the day through with it every day. You go to bed with it every day. Then make sure you have people, places, and things around you that are constructively critical. They tell you yes when you need to hear yes. They tell you no when you need to hear no, and why. Put it in a written plan. Write it down. Spend time with yourself. Go out and do it. Execute it. Then listen and learn from it. And then make sure you do little things like, when you have your goal set up, your spiritual goal, your family goal, your personal goal, your professional goal, your physical goal, look at your calendar and make sure that your calendar reflects your goal. Because there are a lot of people who are like, I'm in the family, I'm in the God, I'm in the da-da-da-da-da. And then you ask them the next question, well, show me where in the last 7 days you've actually paid attention to that. Every time I ask that, somebody's like, uh-oh. Yeah, well, I'm talking a good game. Make sure you're living a good game. And the only way to do that is with your life model and to write it down and to follow it.
Well, thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure, man.
This has been the Musicianship Summer Group of 2018. Reginald, signing off.